be prepared for a lot of rejection.
Rejection is everywhere.
Rejection is something that you need to take.
What's up, Believe Nation? It's Evan. This channel is designed to be a part of your daily success routine and help you believe in your Michael Jordan level talent. So today, let's learn one of the most common rules that successful people follow: how to handle rejection. Also, if you want to know what Will Smith, myself, and other successful entrepreneurs have to say about building unstoppable confidence, check out my 254 Confidence series, where every day for the next 254 days, I will send you a free morning video on building your confidence. The link is in the description below.
I was excited about taking a shot. The fact that it was so strange.
Surround yourself with greatness. If you want to be more confident, you need to surround yourself with things that make you feel confident.
The best advice I could give is, number one, be prepared for a lot of rejection. If you're ready for rejection, if people say, no, I don't want it, no, it's not going to work, no, this is crazy, whatever, if you're prepared for it, it's not going to let you down. Learn from your failures. I had a lot of failures along the way, even with my patron, Paul Mitchell, but we learn from those things and we get a lot better.
Rejection is everywhere. You know, we all deal with the
You don't anymore.
Oh my,
Sure you
yeah,
don't.
me worst of all. You know, I think the idea of rejection is relative. I mean, if you take a kid in a small town and somebody posts something negative about them and all of their friends laugh, you know, that's the worst rejection a human being can experience. It's not, you know, for that kid, it's not any less than for my kids who read it on a comment page. You know, it's emotionally, it's the same. My kids grew up in this world, so they're much more acclimated to the difficulties of this world, but it doesn't make it emotionally more difficult or more painful than for any other child who has to deal with it.
I was rejected, but it was the best rejection ever for me to lead me in a different direction, the direction where I'm heading towards right now. And that was back in 2007. I applied for a job at a Lancome counter at a department store because I really wanted to work in the beauty industry. I wanted to be a makeup artist, and I wanted to empower women through just the art of beauty. And so I went in, they were looking for a sales associate, and I applied for the job. I filled out the application. I did the sit-down interview. I answered all the right questions. I mean, they were very impressed with my knowledge and my passion. And the last question she asked me was have you ever worked in sales? And I said, no, I'm a waitress. I know how to host. I know how to make people feel good, and I know how to really understand and read the fine lines and details of people, because like when you're waiting tables, you really have to see like what someone wants without them needing to say anything to you. So it wasn't good enough for her, though, because she said, well, unfortunately, we do need someone that has experience in sales. And I said, but I can learn, like please give me a shot, like just give me a chance. I'm willing to learn, and I know I can sell beauty. I mean, I love it. I'm passionate about it. 2 weeks later, I never got the call back, and I was really devastated because, it's a rejection. It's tough because I think we're all programmed to wanting to have like positive reinforcement. We want positive reinforcement. We want people to say yes. We always want yes. I mean, no is such a negative. I feel like sometimes we think no is something bad, but sometimes we need no's in our lives to kind of shift us in a different direction. I always find that in life, like the universe, there's always three answers when you want something. It's either yes, not yet, or I have something better. So in this case, I knew that there was going to be something better. I didn't take that rejection. I didn't drop my love for beauty. In fact, I opened another door for myself, and that was through YouTube, my webcam. And I said, you know what, I may not be able to have a job as a sales associate at a department store selling makeup, but at least I can still fulfill my passion in beauty by filming these tutorials and helping girls and inspiring girls to try new beauty looks, and that's what I did. And 2 years later, Lancôme calls me and they wanted me to become their official online spokesperson. I realized, had I have gone back in time and told myself, hey, you know what, this rejection is something that you need to take, and it's not a bad thing. I think that was the best thing that ever happened to me, was that rejection. So I absolutely agree with you, Andrea. Sometimes rejection is a blessing in disguise. Yeah.
Rejection is part of life as an entrepreneur. You are going to get rejected over and over and over and over again. It's just part of being an entrepreneur and being in business. The first thing you put out won't be very good. People will hate on it. People will give some constructive criticism as well. People will say no because they don't know you, trust you, like you, and so you won't get those first deals. It takes a lot of time to build up a business and make it successful. And even when you've gotten to that point where you're feeling happy and you're bringing on a team and building the business, you're still going to get rejected constantly. It's just part of life as an entrepreneur. And so if you can't handle that, it's going to be a really hard road for you to be an entrepreneur. I think the way to get through rejection, there's two ways to do it. One is to use rejection as fuel, kind of like what Jack Ma did. I got rejected 10 times by Harvard. One day I'm going to go teach there, right? One day I'm going to go speak there. To use that as fuel, it's you turn me down, I'm going to show you. I'm going to beat it. I'm going to come back and be the teacher there, right? You turn me down for this deal, I'm going to go get a deal 10 times as big. Right? So that's one. You can use rejection as fuel to help you go off and do something bigger and motivation to, I'm going to prove them wrong. The second way is just to forget about it. Just get used to it. That's more what I do. I don't really use rejection as fuel. It doesn't really bother me when somebody turns me down or when a new series doesn't work. I was trying to think when I was preparing for this video, what's a recent rejection that I have? Because there's been so many, but none really stick out as being super memorable. The one that I came up with was, I tried a new series on the weekend a while ago about the best of Kickstarter. And it was a new series that I was testing of showing different Kickstarter ideas that I thought might be helpful for you. And that video didn't do as well as I would have liked, didn't do as well as other videos, and we're probably gonna kill that series. But that's okay, I've killed tons of series. It happens all the time on the channel, and I couldn't even tell you all the series that I've killed because they didn't perform. You guys rejected them. It's okay. I just moved past it. And so either one, you have two strategies to go for. Use the rejection as fuel to say, I'm going to show you how wrong you are and prove it to them, or just forget about it, get used to it. It's going to happen. It's just part of the game. And you move on and just think about the next thing that you can go off and build. Use either one of those strategies, but don't get stuck in the rejection.
I have a story about you, actually.
Okay.
So what you were saying, I feel like being afraid of girls, being in front of the camera, being scared in general, all of those things are just really the same thing. It's just really being afraid of what people will think. So I think why you can be such an amazing actor is because when you were a teenager in Philly, he would go to the mall and he would stand up on a chair like this and he would say, hey, can I have your attention, everybody? Everybody. My name is Will Smith and I'm going to be famous one day. You guys don't know me yet. But yeah. And then he would sit back down.
Yeah.
And he'd sit back in his chair. But he was just comfortable saying and doing anything. So when you got in front of the camera, you were okay to let that emotion go. You know what
that
I mean?
was like practice for me to break that fear.
That's always practice. So
girls are great too. To just at a party, get comfortable walking up, saying hi, and getting rejected hard in front of your friends.
Gotta be all right with getting rejected.
A little while later, I wrote a book called The Shining, and it was my third book, and I got contractual rights to write the first draft screenplay for that. And I did do that, and I found out later that Stanley Kubrick, who had got the rights through Warner Brothers, had already determined that he and a lady named Diane Johnson were going to do the screenplay for The Shining. So they basically, my screenplay went in and they said, no, this won't do, and then they went on to what they really wanted to do, which was fine. I wasn't angry or upset. You're not, after a while. You get thousands of rejection slips before you break through. You kind of get used to that, and it's just part of the game. But the thing is, you learn little by little. So
I'm interested in the audition process is so tricky, and it's, rejection is hard at any age, but as a kid, how did you tolerate it?
I think it was a few times that I thought I booked it, like, for sure, and you didn't, and, like, just being heartbroken, and, having my mom and my dad kind of pick up the pieces. And I think that was the few times that they actually, started to question themselves, are we doing the right thing by letting them do it, and do this, and try to act and take on this profession that, it's such a gamble, and it's a lottery, such a lottery. And you just train yourself to, like, manage your expectations for the most part when it comes to auditions. I know a system that I started doing was, like, after the audition, after I left out, I would just throw my sides away. If they really want me, I'll just print them out again. I'll go out and I'll go through the hassle, go to Kinko's, and 'cause I didn't have a printer at the time, and print them out again. And that was just my way of training myself to just forget about it when you leave. It's nothing, it's out of your hands. You've done all you can do. Worrying about it is not gonna, help you get the job. So, it's tough, when it has nothing to do with you. You could have the most talent in the world, feel as though you're perfect for it, and still not get it because maybe the other lead is a little too tall, and you guys don't compliment each other well on screen. It has nothing to do with you whatsoever. And just kind of wrapping your head around the process and knowing that it's completely out of your hands, it's just easier for you to kind of let go and move on to the next thing.
Hunter, who's 11, wants to know what kind of advice can you give an 11-year-old like me who's just starting, who's in the second year in the industry, and what keeps you motivated with all the rejection?
You're 11, by the way. I think I'll be getting advice off you in a couple of years. So, I think as well, just have fun, Just have fun with it, It should be fun.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think, rejection is just part and parcel of it.
But it's also a good thing. It's also a good thing, rejection, because it does teach you how to get that little bit stronger and just know that, well, that was an experience, and you'll just move on and you learn from it and take things from those moments, And
also, the fact, they could be looking for somebody with red hair or, 2 feet taller or whatever happened to them that day. There's so many things that are out of your control. I think just concentrate on the scene, what it's about, what you're doing, where you're coming from, where you're going, what are you trying to get in the scene. All those little things that are about the scene, that'll take away the fear, the nerves, concentrating, okay, where have I just come from? Have I come from the store? Did I buy an ice cream on the way to this place before I arrived? How does this person in the room that I'm doing the scene with make me feel? What do I want from them? How do I go about getting what I want from them? All those things will take away all the sort of nerves and the fear. And then you just do your thing. And as long as you do your thing and enjoy it, then you've done your job. Then they'll be picking you for whatever reasons they will be, or not. But you've done your thing.
What makes this book so interesting, man, is your story of trying to put it together, which is at least as powerful as the stories in the book, if not in some cases more powerful. So how did you deal with rejection?
Oh my God, horribly. Because pretty much the whole book at some points feels like this long string of me getting my ass beat, And dealing with that rejection, I realize is not only a part of the entrepreneurial journey, it is the entrepreneurial journey. So how you deal with it is a lot more interesting than how you got your win. Because everybody will get their win in a different way, but how you deal with the rejection in many ways is a universal act. And what I've learned is that I do 2 things. One, when I'm getting beat up and doors are just being slammed in my face over and over and over again, and I have nothing left, the only thing that keeps me, because I've thought about quitting, I'm a human being, I've thought about, is this worth it? The only thing that would keep me going was that larger belief that we talked about in the beginning. Of it's not about me. There'll be points on my journey where I would be, up at 4 a.m., sleeping at midnight, just pounding the pavement. And after, getting rejected over and over and over again with that kind of lifestyle, you lose your spirit of what started it. And it was my best friends that would save me. And they would be like, dude, tomorrow, I'm taking your phone. We're going, on an adventure. We're going, whatever it was. And in many ways, that was like my emotional reset, which saved me over and over and over again.
Everything is possible and nothing is guaranteed. And you start auditioning And if you're lucky enough, you have an agent, and you start auditioning, and they send you everything from period drama to Casualty to dairy milk commercials. Yep, I went up for a dairy milk commercial when I was 24. And you are thrown into the business and thrown into it at the deep end, and there's no time for doubt or failure, except routinely. That's what happens to all of us. And I perhaps was too careful in auditioning, and I would always get close to landing roles and to booking jobs, and I would never quite get there. And this is a universal experience for all creative people, certainly actors, is that the constant rejection at the beginning. And you have to get used to it, and you have to get thick-skinned about it. And I got so exhausted by, I was trying to sort of, because at first you take it very personally. And I thought, well, no one's gonna help me get there. The only person who can do this is me. And I started preparing in a different way, and I sort of stepped up to the plate a little better, I think, because I could feel time sliding away, and I wasn't getting on with life. I just was sort of stuck in this rut of neither acting nor doing anything else. And the experience of being in your 20s is so energetic, and I felt so stagnant, actually. So I just kind of changed everything up, and it worked.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip from Amy Schumer on how to be resilient that I think you're gonna really enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point lightning questions. Time to move from just watching another video to actually taking action in your life or your business. So answer these 3 questions. Number 1, what's the biggest rejection that you're afraid of right now? Number 2, how are you going to prepare for it to reduce the chances of it happening? And number 3, if it does happen, what will you do to handle it?
Do you remember what your first material, like when you first went up on stage? What was it like?
Why are you doing this to me? It was terrible. I was 23. I know what you're saying, like you should have already known, but I didn't. And I went up and I was like, skywriting. That's stupid, right? It's always fading. If a guy proposed to me that way, I would be like, nah. Like there's no end to this, or you're gonna laugh. Like this is 11 years ago, and then about the New York City crosstown bus, I wrote a joke where it was like, just that anytime you feel it like kind of go down when they like let the air out of that front tire, you know somebody atrocious is about to get on, like just like some leg that they have to carry. Look, it was 11 years ago.
But that moment when you're being on stage and maybe it didn't go so well, it still somehow it made you want to do it again and again. Why?
Masochism. I seriously, any person who's a comedian is a masochist and delusional. And yeah, and I was definitely those things.
But you really think that's true?
100%. If someone's like, okay, so you're gonna do this thing for the next 8 years, and no one's gonna tell you you're good, and you're not gonna be good, and you're gonna have to live on the road in hotel rooms, making very little money. Yeah, and like it's constant rejection. It's not like an audition, it's like every sentence out of your mouth, people are like, no, and you're like, okay, what about this sentence? I'm in a great place right now, but being a stand-up is a hard-ass life, and you think it's gonna be fun. You're like, oh my God, if I can just quit my bartending job. Like everyone just wants to quit their day job for their dream, but then when you get there, you're like, oh, this sucks too. Like I'm no happier now than I was when I was waiting tables. I'm always pretty happy, but I think we're all just always the same amount happy.
Raise your standard.
Apple at the core, its core value is that we believe that people with passion can change the world for the better.
Not one drop of my self-worth depends on your acceptance of me.
If you want to take things one step further and learn how to deal with failure, I think you're going to really enjoy the video right next to me. Go check it out. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Without failure, you have no success.
Your failure could eventually become your greatest 100%, success. Yeah.